Hello lovely people, welcome to the weekly book steep. My name is Steph, this is the Novelty Corner and I'm about to wrap up the last 7 days worth of reading. Now the audio on this is going to be off because I am not at my house. I am house sitting, well I'm dog sitting, the house comes with the dog for the weekend and it is currently big, it is empty and therefore echoey, and I'm not on the right camera because I didn't have enough space to bring the big camera. So we're going to get through this wrap up and also hopefully a vlog this weekend, and most importantly, not that I did anything to celebrate this, but happy 10-year anniversary to my Booktube channel. It is 10 years old today when this video is going live. I do have my 10-year channel gift to myself that I'm going to open at the end of the video. I haven't opened it yet. I'm desperate to open it. I've had to wait 24 hours to open it, so that the first time I open it is on screen. But we're going to jump into the wrap up first. So this is my weekly reading wrap up from the 27th of June until the 3rd of July. I read 12 books this week, a total of 3,939 pages. I had 8 rereads, 0 DNFs and 0 project books. Mostly because I abandoned a project. I was supposed to vlog my hockey weekend and in the end I gave up. So that video is not coming, but you may get one for this weekend. So we're going to start off with a kids review title. I don't actually have the physical book here. I was sent the physical book by Hachette, so thank you very much to them. It is Shakespeare in the Orchard by Danielle Binks. This is a historical middle fiction story set in Langwarrin, Victoria in 1914 and 1915 during World War I. We are following Jack, who is a young teen. Oh God, we're going to get lighting changes. Sorry, we're just going to have to deal with that. Jack is a young teen. He lives with his mother. His older brother has gone off to war. His father has previously died when Jack was quite young. And at school, like everyone in Victoria is preparing for war. People have been drafted and sent overseas. Jack is desperate to go and fight for Australia, and that kind of feeling is only being fed by a relief teacher who is former military themselves and is basically running the cadet training that is mandatory for all boys. It's during this time period that the local military base becomes home to German prisoners of war. So these are Germans living in Australia, or people of German descent living in Australia who people are afraid are, going to subvert things that are going on in Australia. And Jack and the local town are not really happy that these prisoners are going to be housed there. However, it comes to harvest time, and because all the able-bodied people have been sent off to war, Jack and his mother need help in the orchard, and the soldiers on the base are desperate to find ways to occupy the men that are being held at this camp, and their services have been offered for a very, very low wage to support the local farms. And it's through the men that are working on Jack's family farm that Jack begins to understand a little bit more about the war, a little bit more about the people that he believes are traitors, and the fact that maybe they're not, and they all connect through this performance of Hamlet by Shakespeare that the men in the camp decide to put on as a way of raising their own morale. It's a really interesting story because you see how Jack's perception and understanding of the situation changes across the length of the book, which is what I love in a historical middle fiction book. I do have a full review of Shakespeare in the Orchard over on Kidlit Joy. Then we had all of my rereads, which were all the Kate Danielle series basically. So Magic Gifts, Magic Rises, Magic Breaks, Magic Shifts, Magic Triumphs, Magic Tides, and Magic Claims. I just literally continued my reread and I loved it. Like, it was a lot of fun. Kate Danielle's is an urban fantasy series by Ilona that came out in the mid-2010s and follows a mercenary, has shifters, vampires, witches, you name it. It's great. The series follows one couple. I'm obsessed. Okay, and then we come into the new to me books that I read this week aside from my review copies. So I read Home Ice by Saxon James, which is her most recent release. It is a pro hockey player, Jensen Hawke, who gets a phone call from his mum saying that his high school girlfriend has passed away and left behind a 14-year-old son who her family says is Jensen's. However, Jensen never knew about him because his ex-girlfriend never told him. And there's a reason why she didn't reach out and tell him, but a lot of Jensen's frustration in the book is because he didn't know, and everyone seemed to think that he wouldn't step up and be part of the child's life. Then we have Ty, who is Jensen's ex-best friend. They both played hockey together through school. They were drafted together, but when Jensen went off to the NHL, Ty never did and disappeared from Jensen's life. And we find out that Ty's father had a stroke and needed a lot of help, and so Ty decided, instead of following his NHL dream, stayed home to help his father, and that's what he's been doing. He's now a high school hockey coach and runs individual hockey coaching clinics and things like that. At my place, I can never get good lighting. In here, I get too much good lighting. Anyway, Ty coaches Kason, who is Jensen's son, and the book starts off with Jensen trying to connect with Kaysen, who is obviously distraught by the loss of his mother. He's living with his grandmother, who wants full custody of the child, but Jensen is determined to be part of his life and is trying to find ways to connect with him and to build that relationship. And I really love the way that this story concluded, and the way that the resolution between Jensen and Kaysen's relationship came about, as well as Jensen's relationship with Kaysen's grandmother. Jensen and Ty's relationship is really great as well. They end up connecting and realizing that maybe there's a mutual attraction between them. Ty has always been gay, and Jensen is pansexual. I think he's pansexual, but never really spoke about it until they come back together and they have to rebuild first their friendship and then moving into a relationship. It's great. It's Saxon James, very easy to read. Then I read Ode to the Half Broken by Suzanne Palmer, which is a science fiction story set in almost in a kind of post-dystopian Earth. It's set in the 2046, and we are following a robot called Bee, who wakes up missing a leg, rescued by a cyborg dog who can talk. And what follows basically is this giant road trip to try and track down the mecha, or the robots who actually took Bee's leg, and trying to uncover what is going on, because basically the world was destroyed when robots rose up and humans lost control of them. However, now there are small pockets of humanity living together, trying to get by. Some of them live harmoniously with mecha that is still around, others are really terrified of it. There is a dual narrative timeline where we are learning a little bit about the past alongside Bee's journey, and we find out that Bee was one of 4 very unique robots that were created. And so the dual timeline, we see Bee in the present day and the creator of Bee and their siblings. Along the way, Bee collects a lot of found family. There is Atticus, which is the cyborg dog. There is, I've mentally blanked on her name, there is a mechanic that they collect, and then a number of other characters. And it's honestly just delightful. The way that the world is built up is amazing. I will say that the first half of the book was really quite slow, and I kind of had to work my way through it. But the second half, like, I was so deeply invested in it. So this is one book I would say is if you feel like it's starting really slowly and you're struggling to kind of put together the pieces, just give it some time, because really it was probably after the 40% mark that I went, oh no, I'm 100% invested. I was always interested. I wanted to know what was going on. It feels very much like a Becky Chambers book. Do with that what you will. I really loved it. I also read A Study in Sparkling by Jodi McAlister. I got the ARC from NetGalley, and I'm so excited that I did, because I love this. This is the follow-up to An Academic Affair. We are following Fiona, who is the sister of the male main character in An Academic Affair. She lives in Tasmania with her husband and her 3 kids. And at the start of this book, we see how Fiona's marriage basically falls apart. And that's because her husband has an entirely separate family living in Melbourne. He has kids who are a similar age to his kids with Fiona. And at the start of the book, he basically tells Fiona, I'm going to give you a clean break and I'm going to move to Melbourne. And so a large part of this book is their divorce and custody arrangements and things like that. So there's a lot of that in this book. So be mindful of that if that is at all triggering for you. And alongside this, one of Fiona's favourite places in Tasmania is this wine bar. Wine bar and very small bookshop created by Satoshi, who does feature in the first book. And he is just infatuated with Fiona. He is in love with her from the very start. And she is 7 or 8 years older than he is. That doesn't matter to him. For Fiona, who is going through a whole grieving process and an anger process at her ex-husband and all of that, it does, because she's worried about what people will think, not necessarily of her, but of Satoshi, who also happens to have a really good relationship with her kids. Fiona's oldest child is non-binary, Lex. Satoshi is pansexual, from memory. It is the story of their relationship, and it is both fast and also the biggest slow burn that you will read. It does feature Panic Attack rep on page. Satoshi is trying to go for his master sommelier. I cannot say the word. It's that the wine person, sommelier. He's trying to go for his master sommelier exam while also being in a relationship, while also trying to manage a business. And so he is run off his feet and in absolute burnout through most of the book. This one felt a little bit harder to get through than An Academic Affair, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I just think there was a lot more elements in this book that were a lot more hard-hitting and kind of probably hit a little closer to home in terms of burnout and relationship building and things like that. Absolutely loved it. Jodi McAlister, excellent romance author. And then the last book that I read this week was Wilderness Rescue Iditarod, that race in Alaska. I can't say it. I probably should have looked it up beforehand. This is by Harmony Noble. It is a sapphic novella about one of the competitors and one of the vet techs who is volunteering at the event. This one could have used a little bit more editing. There were a couple of times where pronouns, particularly with the dogs, were swapped around. I was very confused for the first half of the book about which dogs were female and which dogs were male. But essentially you have Bryn, who is a woman who is entering into the competition. She's a rookie. Like, everyone's excited that she's in there except for all the male competitors who are just being absolute dickheads, including Morgan's brother, who Morgan is our other female protagonist, and he is just an absolute asshole in this book. Honestly, kind of felt unnecessary, but probably representative of the sport. It's only 141 pages long, so if you're looking for something short, it's a quick and easy read, and it filled in a bit of reading time and got something off my backlist. So now we come to the thing I bought myself for my 10-year Booktube anniversary. This is a custom rebind of my favorite book. I'm so excited. I haven't looked at it yet. I'm gonna open it if I can figure out where to open it from. I'm not gonna cry. I promise I'm not gonna cry. So this is a rebind by Mel from Mel Binds Binks. It's my boys. So this is Mel's card. I'll leave her Instagram links down below because I will be ordering Gravity, which I couldn't do both at the same time because this is probably the most expensive book I've ever bought when we factor in converting from US dollars to Australian dollars. I have zero regrets though. Just look at it. So this is the rest of the story by Tal Bauer. Oh my god. My god. I love it so much. My happy place. Happy 10 years on Booktube to me is all I will say. It also feels really nice. Like, the quality of this is, like, texturally, this works for me. That's enough silliness for me. This will be finding quite a place when I go home, but I will be wrapping it straight back up in bubble wrap. I will do a bit of a 10 years on Booktube reflection video at some point. I know I originally planned on doing more stuff, but this year, I say this every year now, but this year, no. But I will talk about some things that kind of where I started and where I got to and what I'm doing now and all my thoughts on stuff that I've learned along the way, hopefully later in the month. But yeah, for those of you who've been here for the majority of the ride or for the whole time, thank you so much. 10 years is a long, long time to be making content. In the comments, I'd love to know, have you read any of the books that I read this week or this one? Feel free to let me know. Otherwise, feel free to leave an emoji that represents your current weather. Share that down below. Otherwise, I hope that wherever you're in the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.